ever since learning about Bitcoin, I also saw the economic incentives and how that have also transformed media. Because now it feels sometimes, and I don't mean this for all journalists, and I'll share why, having worked in the space for so long. But overall, when you zoom out, the media in general seems to be much more biased, much more political, and almost as if they're, in some cases, lapdogs for the government as opposed to watchdogs. Journalism is supposed to be that fourth branch that's supposed to keep an eye and make sure that everything, isn't going in the direction of corruption. But all of a sudden you see them sharing a lot of the same messaging and narratives that maybe the government wants put out there, or certain sides of the government or certain agendas. So I've been disillusioned, but if you zoom in to the micro level, I sympathize with a lot of reporters, especially local television reporters, because again, I never got an education in financial literacy. So I didn't have a starting point to understand, first of all, that I should question inflation. Right? I mean, most of us before Bitcoin were like, yeah, everything just gets more expensive, and it was easier for our parents' generation to buy a house, and for us, not so much. But we don't question why, and we don't peel back those layers, and we absolutely should, because half the things that I was reporting on a local level was the fact that people were struggling more and more. Eventually it turned divisive and more political and left versus right. But the starting point was after the great financial crisis, a lot of people struggling to build back. Meanwhile, QE started, and I had no idea what that was at the time, but bam, like recovery for the banks and the people at the top, and then they made exponential amounts of wealth. So I think it starts with education, because I think a lot of reporters were like me. They set out with very good intentions, like maybe a lot of people who go into politics do too, but the incentive system kind of alters that. Now there's a huge incentive in media to get the big interview, or to have the exclusive with maybe an elected official. And a lot of times you see reporters getting very cozy with certain political entities. And that's not right. We really should be watchdogs, and people should kind of be afraid if the investigative journalist is coming around, right? They shouldn't be super excited to see you because you're just going to do a fluff piece. They should be a little bit worried that you're going to scratch the surface on something. And so I know that's a long-winded answer, but the economic model has changed, the technological model has changed, and I'm just grateful that decentralized media in the form of podcasts and online platforms and social media has allowed me this opportunity to talk about Bitcoin. Because when I tried to do stories on Bitcoin, I was very limited. I could do one here or there, but instead I had to focus on a lot of these breaking news tragedies and disasters, which was very negative. And now I get to focus on something that is ultimately so positive and talks about how the world can become a better place if we fix the money.